Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Redshirt Down, and this is the series Trash to Treasure, where I show you just how easy and cheap it can be to play the best format in Magic. And for one of you, that's especially true. I'm planning on giving this cube away for free to one of my viewers living in North America. In the future, I'd like it to be worldwide, but right now the cost is still too high. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment on any of the videos in the series. I'll be pulling a random viewer a couple of weeks after the series wraps. This is the penultimate episode, the one where we add in the colorless, multicolored spells, and lands. We're not looking for any chaff, as these sections are the frosting to the 5-color cake we've already baked. Spells in these sections are here to supplement the existing archetypes, or to be wild power outliers, if we're lucky enough to find them. We'll start with the artifact creatures. This section will inevitably fill a small but important role, as they're cards that everyone at the table can use. Shambling Suit. It can be a threat if we've got the density. Monoskelion, the Triskelion at home. At least it supports the +1/+1 counters theme. Tormod's Cryptkeeper isn't a bad card, but it's painfully average, especially in an environment that doesn't really use the graveyard. Grabbing this retro Monoskelion, my Magic Boomer brain prefers the brown. An excellent pickup, Myr Scrappling is the perfect sacrifice fodder for us. It can sacrifice itself to buff another creature, and with it being 1 mana, can be recurred every turn with Abiding Grace. Crashing Drawbridge, a defender that any deck would surely enjoy. Sure, add it to the pile. Sliversmith is a spell shaper that makes sliver tokens, but that's not really relevant. It only costs 1 to discard a card every turn. Is it worth it? I don't know yet, but it's worth adding to the pile. Gingerbrute is an aggressive artifact good for many cubes. It can make itself mostly unblockable for a single mana, no matter its power. Plus, it's a food. At this point, I'm looking for a very large creature, something that Ramp will love, no doubt, but can be used by other archetypes as their potential closer too. Ornithopter. Not useful in this cube in the slightest, but I am collecting them to build my great value take on Andy from Lucky Paper Radio's creation, the 100 Ornithopter Cube. Linked below is the episode where it all started. Worth a listen if you want to turn cube design on its head. Okay, here's a big mana guy, Meteor Golem. I don't love it, but it's not a bad way to flip a board state. Ulamog's Crusher. As far as I'm aware, this is the finisher in Pauper. Tron, Reanimator, and Dredge all use this card to end the game quick. Editor Redshirt Down likes this a bit more than past me, so although I'll throw it into the toss pile, it has been added to the list. Staunch Throneguard is a card with Monarch, a great ability in multiplayer to keep the action moving. In 1v1 usually it's oppressive, so much so that this unassuming card is an instant cut. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs is interesting. It'll give the defender deck another way to win the game, but only if we end up with a bunch of deserts. We'll have to see what lands we open before making a decision. Editor Redshirt Down here again. After seeing the mana base, I ended up adding in that Sojourner's Companion to the list. Not only can the Salamander be free, but it may fix your mana problems too. Sad Robot himself, Solemn Simulacrum is a great find. Usually when you think of this guy, you think of Commander, but this is a card that can bridge the gap. It'll ramp you, and replace itself when it dies. What more could you ask for? By contrast, mere Superion. I could probably run this in my higher powered cube, with all of the mana dorks, artifact cheating, and reanimation I have, but I don't trust the few dorks we have to get the job done here. Our last 2 mana wall, the Shire Scarecrow, gives us a mana filtering ability that could be quite useful. I can see this pushing out one of the others for sure. Now onto the artifacts. We're just looking for the bow to wrap up this present. Cards I like to see are some mana rocks, a good amount of equipment, and maybe a few cards that can trip. Scalding Cauldron. I'd like one of these effects that'll just kill a creature, even if it's overcosted. Prophetic Prism, with beautiful art at that. It's great to have found a mana filter that'll replace itself. Power Stone Shard. This could be a cool idea depending on how many we end up with. It'd be a pretty unique idea to break Singleton to create another big mana deck. There's another, and another, and another. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. Do we run multiple Power Stone Shards in this cube? Would that pull you into a big mana archetype, assuming you saw the first one early enough? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. Moonglove Extract, a cheaper but less effective cauldron. It might be worth it though, because after you play this, you don't need to leave the mana up to activate it. Gruul Signet, artifact ramp in one of the few color pairs that don't want it. Hopefully I'll find other signets or talismans in this lot. Shard 5 and 6. Expedition Map, an all-star in constructed formats. It'll find the last Tron piece in Modern, or legitimately anything in Commander. It's good enough to run even here, where the best it'll do is fix you for your splash color. Lembas is a really cool one. Half as good as Preordain, at double the cost, but it does give you another game piece to play with. Could be good in a control deck, buying you an extra turn, or 2, to turn the corner. Brainstone, cool find. Again, way more expensive than its namesake, but giving every color the ability to dig for an answer is nice. Plus, I'm pretty happy with it from the environments I run it in. Inherited Envelope, another 3 mana ramp. We've got so many already, but this one will support the ring. The Underworld Cookbook. I don't know if we're going to find Asmarano Martica diced in a Kuldakar. However, it's not bad by itself either. It'll give you a free discard outlet, which makes food tokens for the decks that care about it. Thundersteel Colossus. It's not a bad payoff for big mana decks in a low-medium power setting. It only takes 2 to crew, and because it's a vehicle, it evades removal well. However, we don't really have the wraths that matter, so a creature will fill this role much better. Marauder's Axe, a strictly worse Vanquisher's Axe. Neither hold a candle to Bone Splitter, the first and best, but we'll take what we can get. Goldvein Pick is an unsung hero in Limited, and I think more cubes should be running this card. It's a short sword with upside. This tends to trade up on offense because no one wants to give their opponents the tempo advantage. Wings of Hubris and Cliffhaven Kitesail are fighting for the same card slot. The question is if this auto-equip is worth more than paying full retail once but getting discounts thereafter. Cliffhaven may cost more throughout the game, but sometimes all you need is just the one shot. I think, with the types of gameplay I'm expecting, the wings provide more value overall, so they are in. Arrow Blade, another short sword with upside. This one can kill a Tarmogoyf at any size. Commander Staple Whisper Silk Cloak. I think even with the sky-high initial investment, this card could put in some real work. And that's going to finish up our artifact section. Now on to the multicolored spells. Many cubes use this section as a signpost to the draftable archetypes, a shorthand picked up from R&D's recent limited design. We're probably not going to have that luxury, so I'm just looking for cool or strong cards, or cards with build-around potential. Lastly, I'm going to try balancing the guilds. However, don't feel like that's necessary. In my main cube, some guilds just have more cards than others, and it doesn't really hurt the drafting experience. We've got our first 3-color card. In a cube where you get to decide what cards to add, I'd still use these sparingly. Your mana fixing needs to be great, or these will just wheel around the table forever. Oji, the Exquisite Blade, could do some work for an Azorius Blink deck. Its ETB isn't bad itself, but the power is in the second spell cast trigger. Even if it targets itself, you're getting some insane value off of it. Rampart Smasher. What a funny find! This card is garbage in most cubes, but with the way we've been building this environment, it's actually pretty decent. Grumgully the Generous will be just a decent value piece for now, but it does build out a nice upgrade path into many cubers' first combo, Persist. All you need is something that hands out counters like candy, a Persist creature, and a way to sacrifice it. Boom, infinite combo. Nivik Cyclops, a glue card for both the spells and defender deck. The stats are underwhelming until you realize it'll attack as a 3-mana 4/4, at least. Forget everything I just said about Nivik Cyclops. In this environment, it's a no-brainer to run Piston Fist Cyclops instead. That finishes up the gold creatures. Time to go through the non-creature spells. There's not a lot to say about this section. I'm just grabbing solid spells or anything modal. Monk Class, a foil rare. Supports the second spell archetype. It's odd that we ended up with 2 Azorius cards that both care about that. But since we've got both, it's worth keeping in mind as we cut cards from both colors. Lastly, on to lands. We'll start with utility and multicolored lands that make 1 color or more than 3. One note about the land section: this may be the only section I add in cards from outside the bulk. I want to make sure that there is enough fixing, as even bad tap lands will allow drafters to splash a 3rd color. Evolving Wilds, a card so good I'm probably going to add it in multiples. This is a card any drafter would be lucky to have, and since the mana is pretty bad, this is essential to getting in good games. Remenap Ruins. If I was ever going to add in a desert, this is the place to start. Shefet Dunes, another desert. Dunes of the Dead, another. Okay, we may be doing desert things after all. Nomad Outpost. Do we want to add in a cycle of bad tri-lands? You know, it wouldn't be the worst idea. Thriving Isle. I do like the Thriving lands a lot. They're sought after by any drafter in the color. I hope to find the full cycle. Mishra's factory, our lone mainland. Control decks can use this as a win con, and aggro decks to chip in after a wrath. Now onto the guild lands. I'm planning on having 50, 5 of each guild. I'll be building what I can from this pile, but I will also be using my collection to round out the lands if needed. Nothing crazy, cards that could have come out of a box, just like this. So it looks like we've got 4 of the 5 cycles. The bridges, artifact lands from MH2, gain lands, bad tap lands, and the guild gates. If I had access to it, the desert cycle from Outlaws would be an excellent 5th, fitting right into our desert theme. That said, this is where the first upgrade money should go. Even lands like the temples will greatly improve gameplay. So, that's it. We've now seen all of the cards in detail from this first bulk purchase. Was it what you were expecting? Now all there's left to do is to start chipping away at it, like a sculptor revealing the beauty beneath the marble. I can guarantee that this environment is going to have a ton of replayability as is, but I also expect that whoever wins it will be adding in their faves before too long. Don't forget about today's question. Should we run multiple Power Stone shards in this cube? Would that pull you into a big man archetype, assuming you saw the first one early enough? Let me know in your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see how the cube ends up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.